today we're doing Cajun stew. We're going to do this Cajun stew today with chicken and sausage. You can add shrimp of your choice if you like, or oysters, but today we're just going to do chicken and sausage, a basic simple meal you can make after work. So what I've done already is prepared the chicken, cleaned it in a little lime juice, added some additional lime juice to it, and some seasonings with some garlic, some oregano, some onion powder, and your Cajun seasoning of choice. Today I use Zatarans, but you can use whatever you like, and some paprika, black pepper as well. So you put that in a bowl, you clean the chicken, and you season the chicken and leave it. You can refrigerate this for an hour or so, or leave it overnight, but I just do it about an hour. And then what you do is heat up a little olive oil, but today I'm using canola oil in a pan, a large large Dutch oven you have. And what you're going to do is sear the chicken. So once you put the chicken down, you'll begin to hear it. It's frying, it's sizzling, that means it's good. So go ahead and put the chicken in, and these are leg quarters today. You cut up some simple, this is a pretty inexpensive meal. So you have your leg quarters in here. Place them down, and you see a little bit at a time. Don't overcrowd your pan. So you leave them to cook. You want them to crisp on one side and flip it on the other side and let it cook. And what it's doing is tightening up the skin. So when you add it to the stew, it won't be all flimsy. It'll be nice and juicy and succulent. So we're going to cook this for a few minutes and turn it over, cook the rest, and then we'll come back with the rest of the ingredients. And see, as the chicken begins to brown, what you're doing is searing one side. See how nice and crispy it is? Then you're going to flip it over and let the other side get a little crispy. It doesn't have to completely cook, and you see all the chicken is about the same size. You have one little tiny leg quarter that looks like a little bird leg quarter. So we have a one leg quarter. These are smaller, these are larger, so I cut them up so that they could cook evenly. So you just let that cook while you do something else. Continue to let that cook, but watch it. This is what your chicken should look like. Not perfect. You see how, because I cooked this a little too high. But see, it's dark. You see where it's fried and the skin is tightened? That's what your chicken should look like. What you're going to do is once you take the chicken out of the oil, again, I cooked mine a little too high. You see you have the oil remaining in the bottom of the pan. What I want you to do is pour all of that oil out of the pan. As soon as I grab it, correct. I'm going to pour all oil out of the pan, that is it. And you see you have in the bottom of your pan, you have the drippings. You have all of this flavor. You don't want to get rid of the flavor. You leave it in the bottom of the pan. That's why I like this pan. I have several hundred pots, but I like this particular pan. Cheapest ones I own, but I love it. So you take this, you leave it back on, put it back on the burner. Let it to continue to, well, it's heated already. We're going to add the vegetables now, just a moment. What we're going to do is, since I burned my oils, well, I charred my food earlier. What you're going to do is put in your pan now, go ahead and add your onions to your pan. You're going to add the celery, add your bell peppers. I have green and red, but you know, you gotta have colorful food. So you have onions, and then you're going to add your garlic to it. Remember, you're going to leave the drippings in the bottom of the pan. Don't worry about that. As long as it's not black, you're good. If it's dark, it's fine. That's just flavor. So you're going to continue to stir while your drippings are in the bottom of your pan. You're continuing to stir your peppers, your onions, your garlic, your celery all together. You're going to let that cook for a minute or two. You want that to cook for a minute, but you're also going to go ahead and add your okra. Now, this is fresh okra. You can also use frozen okra. Be fine, because this is some raggedy okra this morning, so you could have used the frozen okra as well. So here in Florida, we do get beautiful okra. It just wasn't this week. So as You let that cook. See, it's just gonna saute in the pan, cook, and just develop more and more flavor. You let that continue to cook. You let it simmer down. And while that's cooking, go ahead and cut up your sausage. So your chicken is here. You got that cooking. Go cut up your sausage. I'll be right back. Okay, now what you're going to do is add some sausage. When I say add sausage, you need a smoked sausage, a very good sausage, a sausage of your choice. We tend to like here in Florida Uncle John's. I'm a fan, but I like this here too. So you may want to try this, the Bean Brothers sausage. The spicy is good. It's a smaller link, but you want a link sausage, a smoked sausage, like a kielbasa or something. But you know that southern, that Alabama, that Florida, that Georgia smoked breakfast sausage is great for this. I wouldn't use the patties or anything like that, but a smoked sausage would be excellent for this. So just slice it up and we'll be right back. Okay, while okra and the peppers and the onions and the garlic is cooking, see how much that has cooked? That simmered down a little bit. You're going to go ahead and add your corn. Now, I like fresh corn, but again, we're in Florida today. There's no fresh corn. So, I have the frozen corn we're going to add to this. We're also going to go ahead and add our sausage, the smoked sausage, to it as well. You don't have to do this immediately. And actually, I like to brown the sausage. You can put it under the broil in the oven or saute it in a pan with a little oil. But today, I did not brown it. Don't know why. That was a oops. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there. Let that cook down as well. So now, while this is cooking, turn the fire up a little bit here. That's a lot. So we have the fire cooking. What you can do at this time is if you have some additional seasonings you want to add to this. I want to show you a trick with something. The oil that was burned up earlier, so to speak, the one I overcooked, this is the oil. I drained it from the pan. What I'm going to do with this oil is pour the majority of the oil in a container, or you could take a spoon, because what I want to do is get the drippings from the bottom of the pan. You see this dark stuff that looks burnt? Yeah, that's all your flavor. You're going to pour that back in the pan. It's not black. See, there's a difference. If it was black, it'd be burned. We wouldn't add that back to the pan. But that's your flavor. Don't worry, it's going to disappear. It's going to cook down. Not going to be a problem. You continue to cook that in there. So, as that is cooking, you see you got your peppers and your onions and everything cooking, the sausage is cooking. Now you can go ahead and add your tomatoes. These are fresh tomatoes. However, you can get canned tomatoes. But we have wonderful fresh tomatoes, so we went ahead and added them. Now, while this is in the pan, you can also add your seasoning of choice. If you want to add a little more seasoning to this, go ahead. This will be your time to add it. I have some fresh thyme here. You just wash the thyme and just drop the thyme. You can tie it so it's easier to pull out. Yeah, don't worry about all those little gadgets. If you don't have a tie, drop it in there. You'll be able to see it. You can pull it out later. And see, they could work for their dinner. They can pull out that little thyme when they eat it. So therefore, we let that cook down. See how this is coming together. While that is cooking, minute or two, because your chicken is almost cooked, so you really don't have to cook your chicken to death. You just want to put it in there at the last minute, last couple of minutes after you get the stew going. So while this is stewing, you hear it simmer, you hear the less and less you see your little, you don't see any more of your drippings in the bottom. They've disappeared. I told you that. Now if you didn't burn yours and you did it properly, you wouldn't have to do a two-step. You just simply take the chicken out, pour off a little oil, add everything else to it, and you will be just fine. Now, if you like a lot of tomatoes, this is your time. You can go ahead and add a lot of tomatoes. This is my food. You add your tomatoes to your food, however you like it. So now it's cooking. We're going to go ahead and give me just a moment. Okay, so now we have cooked that down a couple of minutes. What I'm going to do is hit that with some more garlic powder, onion powder. You don't have to. And some more black pepper. I love black pepper. Now, I'm going to put a tiny bit more. I said tiny. bit more of the Creole seasoning in there, just because my tomatoes don't come seasoned, peppers don't come seasoned. You have to season it as well. You have to have layers of seasoning. Not over seasoned, but layers of seasoning. You want to be able to taste your veggies and not a bunch of salt. The goal here is to lower our blood pressure, right? Okay, so we have the tomatoes cooking, sausage. See how I browned up? The sausage browned up nicely by themselves as well. Now you hear that searing sound? That means you're losing it's evaporating. See your liquids are evaporating in this? What you're gonna do is get you some chicken stock. Now, you can get low sodium chicken stock. You can make your own chicken stock, which is a better deal, but today we're just gonna pour chicken stock in there. So we're gonna pour the chicken stock in. See how the sizzle stop? I stop too. So when the sizzle stop, you stop. You don't have to overcrowd the pan. You have to see, listen to your food. It'll talk to you, see? Saying that's enough. Add a little more. Okay. So now while that's there, you see how that looks? And now you're saying that looks too soupy. Don't worry. You take your chicken, place your chicken back in the pan. Place all your chicken. Now I could dump the chicken in the pan, but well, we can do that. Because you see the little oil in the bottom of the pan again, that's flavor. So we're going to add all that back to the pan. So, as we have the chicken in the pan, see how nice and pretty that is? You're going to put your chicken, make sure every chicken has a little pocket to be in. Put the chickens in the pocket. And I added some more tomatoes in case you're wondering why some tomatoes will cook more than others. Added a little more tomatoes. Now, if you're going to add shrimp, don't overcook the shrimp. Wait till 5 minutes before you're going to serve the dish, then add your shrimp. So the shrimp is not overcooked. Nobody wants tough wood shrimp. So therefore you put that, now we're gonna leave that to simmer for about a good, I'd say 30 minutes. So you can come home, put this together, go take your shower, come back and eat. See how easy that was? So we're gonna put a lid on this and I'm gonna make some rice to go with this while this simmers for 30 minutes or so, okay? Be right back. Okay, remember the drippings that you had at the bottom of your pot? And I told you you had some left over. Let me tell you a cheat sheet you can use. Again, I did it the wrong way. But if you have some drippings left, again, look at this color. It's not black. I'm going to stress it's not black because if it was black as burned, you don't want that in your rice. But this is a dark brown. Like real dark brown, see? And while this is in here, I have that little oil left. I don't want to waste it. You have your 2 cups of rice. You're gonna go how many cups you need for your family. But this one, we're gonna do the 2 cups of rice. And what I'm doing is I have a mixture of long grain and jasmine. Yeah, I mixed them together. But you have this, you turn it around in the pan and see how it's getting all nutty dark. All that's gonna do is give it a real rich, nutty flavor. If you don't know don't do this the first time that you burned up. Don't call me saying that your rice tastes burnt because you use black oil. But if it's dark brown, you see how I gave it a nice dark brown color? What I'm doing is I'm just frying the rice basically. Stir frying the rice in there. If we're watching our cholesterol, this ain't what you want to do, but this is my food. So, you stir fry your rice in here. You let it cook till it becomes a little translucent. See how you can see it? Like it's shiny and glossy. See through it. That's what you want. So once the rice reaches that state, I didn't add any salt to my rice. I got enough salt in there. You don't want to oversalt your food, but it's going to give it flavor because you have that salt from the drippings and all that garlic, all of that onion powder, garlic powder, all the Cajun seasoning, that's all in your rice. So when your rice reaches that temp, what you're going to do now is go ahead, when you let that cook there, and I'm going to get that still sizzling in the pan, not sizzling hot. And we have 4 cups, almost 4 cups, I cheated a little bit. So that's 2 cups of rice. Go ahead and add the water. It wasn't too hot because it didn't do that sizzling. And see how your water is all brown? That's okay. Don't cook down. Don't get nervous. And you just leave your rice to cook. Now, while that rice is cooking, let's take a look at our stew again. See? The stew is coming along just nicely. See, that meat is falling off that bone of that chicken. The tomatoes, the stew is all thickening up nice. That okra is going to pull all of that together. I don't know how anybody can hate okra. I just love it. But I added a little bit of basil to this, and it's your pot, so you add what you want to it. Now, I would recommend you add a pinch of sugar because that fresh tomato is going to give you a bitter taste. I like the bitterness though, but you can put a little sugar just to mellow it out. I don't want candied food, so I don't put a lot of sugar in there. But hey, if you like candy on your plate, go ahead and add as much sugar as you like. But the corn is going to give you a sweetness, so you got to mellow that out. So we're going to let that continue to cook. Now, you can add some tomato paste. I don't. You can to thicken it up if you like. I wouldn't put any flour. It's not needed. It'll thicken up on its own. That okra will pull it all together. So we're going to let that continue to simmer. That's the way that pot ain't fitting right, y'all. But we're going to let that continue to simmer as the rice make, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. You remember that brown, those drippings from that pan, and I told you to incorporate that, mix it in there to make that rice. You see how that rice has that rich brown color? It's tasting like gravy is already in the rice. See, that was a cheat sheet. So that's your rich rice. What we're gonna do is we're gonna plate up our food. I think food has to look good, taste good, right? So, little cheat sheet. Somebody asked me one time. This is something real simple, as you can see. I'm just putting the rice into one of these little bowls. Any bowl of your choice, a cup of your choice. Pat it down a little. That was some hot rice. Take your plate, sit that on top of your plate, and ta-da! You already have the rice mold on your plate. Now, let's take a look at this stew. The stew has been simmering for some 30 minutes or so. See, you can let it simmer. You can actually let it simmer all day if you like. If you want to, you can take the excess oil off the top. But if you're going to add butter to it, why do that? So now you have your stew all ready made. You're going to take a piece out of there. Let's take one of these little baby quarters. Put that in there. And now you have your stew. You have your okra, your tomatoes, all of that. This will look even better in a bowl. I have the wrong plate to plate this today. But you see. So you have the stew. If you wanted to thicken this up even more, let it cook longer, or put a little tomato paste in it. I don't like all that tomato flavor, so it's my food. So there you go. You have your stew with your rice. Your plate is all nice and clean and decorated. And see, look at that. You did it all by yourself. And that's wonderful. Turn the fan off. That's noisy. So, this completes your Cajun stew. You have your chicken with your sausage, and you can use andouille in this as well. And you have your rice, and your rice is brown because you added those drippings to it. And I wish you could taste it, but taste your own. And remember I said add a pinch of sugar just to take out that sharpness of that tomatoes. And I bet you your family asks for this again and again. Okay? Try it with the shrimp, like I said. Try it with fish if you like. You can do the same thing with the fish as well. Just use the whole fish, and you would simmer it down as well, and it would still be delicious, okay? I thank you. You have a wonderful day. See you soon.